I really wanted to focus on where the gap was, which is everyone is on these things. They're like, and no one's getting the experience they're supposed to get. And everyone thinks that they're delivering a great digital experience. And the truth is, they're not measuring it properly. They don't really know how to do it. And there's a lot of challenges associated with it. So I think it's a super fun time to be in this industry because AI is going to change a lot of how we approach analytics. I was done with marketing. I was like, I've done this for 2 decades now. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, right.
But the more I got connected to the product, the more I fell in love with the product and product analytics and where the market is going and thinking about it as a product person and how do we solve these problems. Then the more you really get it, you really start to think through customers and what do they want and what do they need. And then because you got to build a roadmap to support them. You can't just go marketing and go like, I don't know, we'll just outsource all of this money to an agency and we'll just think it up.
Which is a really brilliant model if you can pull it off, but
Exactly.
you just
We'll
can't.
just, we'll just talk about visions and stuff. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I always like product people. I think the product people are like, or someone that's deep into a topic or has been deep in a topic for a long time. Like I interviewed a guy the other day on AI and he does AI services. And I was like, this is going to be rubbish. And he was like, he's working on a breast cancer diagnosis system for AI. And he said he's doing it with MIT and this other leading organization, and it's now sitting with the government to be approved. And it's like this groundbreaking technology that has a success rate of about 70, 80%, and it can pre-diagnose breast cancer before anyone would have any idea that they have it.
That's insane. That's
And
insane. It's just
I just went from like, I don't really care what you're doing to help people improve efficiency. I just want to talk about the AI breast cancer.
right, right.
He goes, exactly. This is goes why I do this. Like, yeah, we do things for companies. We help them be more productive and save time and, blah, blah, blah. But he said, I go to sleep at night, like thinking about my contribution to humanity and
Well,
what we could do.
isn't that an interesting idea that'll take us way off course?
Hmm.
Way off course. I mean, we have no hope of getting back after this one, but um, I've just recently spoken with maybe, I don't know, call it 4 or 5 people who had this kind of epiphany moment sometime in the past, say 2 or 3 years. Wasn't necessarily pandemic driven. It was just like this thing happened where they went, I got to do something better with my life. Like,
Yeah.
these are for the most part really successful people. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a matter of like I got a few more rungs on the ladder I can climb and I got it made. It was more like, you know what? I'm pretty smart and this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something better. And what they've done is, probably not quite as remarkable as this person you're talking about, but still in their own realm, they're doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because
It's
it's a
fun.
heart change.
I think the same, right? And I had this conversation with the guy that invented smart things because I'm a home automation geek as well. So I love like automated curtains and all sorts of stuff. And I've just moved back to the US, so I haven't done any automations here yet, which is my wife is really happy about because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But his wife, he invented smart things, sold it to Samsung for like, billions of dollars or something. And his wife's like, yeah, I'm not really passionate about what it is that you do. I just think you can do better.
His wife said that to him.
Yeah. And I'm like, guy invented smart things. And it got sold to Samsung. Okay, his wife's a bit of a hard taskmaster. And
Yeah,
so,
right.
so I started laughing. And so now he's moving on to like, he goes, I agreed with her. I was like, yeah, they're like automated curtains are just like, okay, that's good. It's like solving a small need, but it's like we have needs in society. We have crumbling water pipes and we have electricity poles that keep falling over and we have toxic chemicals that are getting put into food sources. He goes, there's an IoT of everything in a city that is going to have significant impact on the world. And he goes, and that's what I'm passionate about now. And that's what I'm doing. And I was like, well, I would have retired on smart things, but I'm glad you're like,
Right.
a little more
Now I
drive than
can't.
I
Thanks for
have.
raising the bar on me.
Yeah.
Ruined
Yeah.
everything.
So
Yeah.
anyway, back to experience and product analytics and how we're changing the world, making the internet better for everyone to buy more stuff. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And by the way, let's not disparage what you and I actually do for a living because this is
yeah,
fun stuff and it
for
has
sure.
purpose and it has value. And
And I do think that, like, I worked in observability for a long time, and I'm just like, okay, like I know what we did at Dynatrace was really important because it's like if the system broke, everything stops. But it's a little bit also like I really wanted to focus on where the gap was, which is everyone is on these things, and like, and no one's getting the experience they're supposed to get, and everyone thinks that they're delivering a great digital experience, and the truth is they're not measuring it properly. They don't really know how to do it, and there's a lot of challenges associated with it. So I think it's a super fun time to be in this industry because AI is going to change a lot of how we approach
Oh,
analytics.
completely. Yeah.
And it's both super exciting and ridiculously frightening at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I'm clearly like head in sand kind of a person here with that. Like I'm on the exciting stuff and like
Oh,
if I pull my head up, high enough to look over the horizon, it's terrifying. So I'm just going
yeah,
to go back and look at it over here and through my little rose-colored glasses. Ended up chatting with some people in your booth and um if I can be really transparent,
yeah,
like like, I was like, it's another analytics tool. And like, look, I'm actually an analytics nerd. So
yeah,
I wasn't expecting to be impressed. And then when I started talking, he's like, yeah, let me tell you how this works and what it does and some of the results. And it's like, wait a second. Okay, hold on. It was a hold my beer moment. Like,
yeah,
I have to hear more about this because this isn't your standard kind of analytics package. There's so much
yeah,
more that goes into it. And I thought for me, first of all, it's NRF. You can't have a real conversation there about anything in depth. You just can't. So we committed to, and this is now the result of that commitment to try and get together and have a real conversation.
yeah, sweet.
For me, it's mostly about like why this path to do this particular thing. The product is outstanding. It's
Mm.
phenomenal, but like,
We're
you
hard
had to come at
taskmasters.
it from a certain place of going, I'm going to fix
Yeah,
this way.
yeah,
And then I think, Laura said, you got to talk to Dave. Dave.
yeah,
Anyway, here we are. So why'd you
yeah.
why'd you fix this way?
I just think that the people I've worked in this space for a long time. I've worked as both like understanding analytics and a geek for analytics. And then at the same time, I struggle with the same problems. And I've run marketing teams and we struggle with the same thing all the time. Hey, how many people are signing up for the free trial and how do we get more people to convert? Sorry, how do we increase the checkout volume? And do we have any issues right now? And you can't get a straight answer from a single platform.
Right.
You're like, you ask one team and they're in Google Analytics, they're telling you one thing. You're asking another team, they're in another platform, they've got another team telling you something else. None of these teams have single views as to what is going on with a user journey because no one's mapping the proper user journey. And then because it's like that, you've seen that, like there's a PowerPoint presentation and it has a pathway and the user journey is a different direction. It's like people have worn the path a different way.
Right.
User journeys are millions of different directions. So an analytics that is needed to summarize it, to simplify it, so you can act on it is so hard because you might you can picture a data table is what you might end up looking at, and then you might go, okay, there's a line chart of some sort, and then you look at line charts and you go, what is this telling me? Like all of these people are going in all these different directions, and we have all these segments of users, and they're coming on different devices, and they're going to the website and then the app, and they're doing this and that. What are we supposed to do with all of this? That's the answer. The ContentSquare is giving people that surfacing it up in a way that makes it firstly super visual, so it's like you can really visualize the analytics over the top of whatever it is you're trying to analyze. Like I want to analyze the homepage today and I want to understand what are people engaging with and what is the path to conversion. Visualize it for me and it will visualize it for you. So it's not tables and graphs and spreadsheets. It's just like something that a team can rally around, sit, and we do it ourselves and go, huh, you mean no one's going there? What? But that's our big AI moment, or that's our new feature we just launched, or that's our brand new shoe. And you're like, yep, no one's engaging in that piece of the content. And so we give people the answers of like, it, it's not just the analytics of numbers, it's like a visualization for people to be able to go, right, okay. And I've learned something, and this is what we should do. And I can go on and on about this, but like for retail especially, I've seen use cases of people learning how people engage with a page and the styles of what they engage with, and that leads to future design of next season's
Sure.
clothes. Because the
Completely.
internet is a perfect like focus group.
So when we were at our NRF and I'm having this conversation, knowing it's kind of like, and everybody's aware, like you're getting jostled by people who are just trying to get by, and you're trying to have a conversation about something serious, and it's just not going to work in that environment. But I was trying to think when my light bulb went off, I think it
Mm,
had to do with it wasn't that you guys have driven ginormous improvements in click through
hmm
or any of the other kind of data points that were tossed out. I was like, well, that's cool, but you know,
hmm
I think for me the light bulb moment was when somebody said, "Here, come on over here. I'm going to just show you what this looks like. Like, here's the final output of when you hit the big button over here. This
hmm
is what it produces." And, I can't tell you how many hours or maybe like weeks off the end of my life I've lost in Google Analytics trying to
Yeah.
figure out that very thing. And you know, I didn't audibly curse because this is a family medium here, but it
Mm,
was like, wow, this is really cool. And,
yeah.
it's not a single push button thing, but it might be two or three. And it's
Yeah.
like, there it is. That's the learning that every one of my clients as an agency person, my internal clients as a marketing person, like, just like, here's the thing, just look at this
Yeah.
and you'll see what we need to do. Boom, there it is. Never seen.
Yeah. And I can. I think you're referring to like a zoning analysis where, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you would see potentially metrics overlaid over zones. So people would think heat maps, but it's like heat maps on steroids because it goes down to
That's what it was.
its components of a page. So for like a product manager sitting there and they're thinking, oh, we're going to launch the new we're going to launch a new ASICS shoe, or any brand. GoPro's coming out with a new camera, or Canon came out with a new camera, as an example. It's a new video line of the camera, and they stick that on the homepage. And firstly, they can attest almost immediately: are we getting click through? Is that image the right image? Is it? Do we need a lifestyle photo instead of the actual shoe? Should we have like our ambassador for ASICS wearing the shoe running, or should we just show the shoe? Actually, we have one customer, great example, RM Williams, and the brand team wanted to stick brand stories of horses and people riding horses, and these people sell shoes. And lo and behold, when they used the zoning analysis, what they worked out is people wanted to engage with the shoes, not the people riding the horses. And so they took rid of the people on the horses. Sorry, brand people that spent the millions of dollars on the brand campaign. But people came to the site, they just wanted the shoes. And then they could work out which shoe is everyone engaging in. Like, and visually look at it. Not like we had 10,161 people click through
Right.
today on
Right.
this. We had 11,741 on that. They look at it and they go, huh, wow. Well, the path to revenue on that shoe is a lot higher than the others, but it's so far down the page, we should lift that up. So yeah, it's this the aha for me. I had a conversation with a CEO of a telco in Australia. I'm Australian, so very small telco. That wasn't that small. We're not that backwards in Australia, marginally. Anyway, I spoke to this telco and I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "We're a reseller of one of the major telecommunications companies. Think of them as Verizon or Telstra. And what we do is we cap the data plans because most people don't spend all of their data. So we're a lot cheaper, but we basically run exactly the same thing." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." He asked me, "How much data do you use?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm on like an unlimited terabyte thing. I'm always on Wi Fi. I never use enough." He goes, "Exactly. That's why we exist." And I said, "Oh, right. Okay." So I looked up their website and I started flicking through and I got to the second page and I went, "Oh, that's interesting. You cap the speeds at 4G." And he goes, "Oh, you saw that?" And I went, "Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't click through. I wouldn't sign up because I want the fastest speeds. That's important to me." And I said, "Do you test for whether or not you're losing conversions as a result of that image being there in the user sign up process?" And he said, "I don't know." And he turned around to a product person. He said, "Do we test for that?" And they were like, "No, I don't think that we test for it." And he said, "What do you guys do?" And I went, "That's what we do.
Funny you
We
should ask, right?
yeah, we test and we'll visually show you." And they bought 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, once we showed them the demo of how it can improve. And then, yeah, it's down to like where should that picture appear? When should it be? What should be featured? So yeah, it's giving people those visual insights and really, really importantly, tying it back to that business metric. What are you trying to achieve? Is it like sign up? Is it revenue? Is it like whatever it is? So it's,
I think I walked away with like, and I wasn't privy to what it took to get to that particular screen. I don't, could have been 2 months worth of work. I have no
Mm,
idea. But what I was presented with was for a marketer, anybody in the related position,
mm,
a moment of clarity. And do you know
yeah,
how hard that is to come by in marketing? Like
yeah. No, I
that
know.
doesn't exist. Marketers are all about obfuscation. This is what we do, right? That's why we
Yeah.
get paid.
Ask a
No,
marketer to define an MQL and you get a very long-winded answer and the impact had on pipeline. It's like
yeah.
they're not the best at, and yeah, we're just it's simple, it's visual, and it gives people design direction. They can make decisions on it, and that's the key thing. Also, is you can focus on the UX. That is, it's a UX designer needs to understand it. A conversion rate optimization person would understand it. The product manager running that product wants to understand it. The CEO wants to know where the revenue's coming from, etc., etc., etc. I could go on forever, but a simple visual that explains to people like what's happening on their website and apps and what they need to do about it is immense. And it's not a long piece of work to get it set up because sites are usually typically designed by zone. So it's not difficult to set it up. It's not difficult to get people encouraged to use it. It's probably just the only thing I would say in having this conversation with you is the importance of remaining like true to the simplicity of what people need and not trying to and everything. But we can do this as well. But we can do this and we do this and
Do
we
I
do.
appear to be that kind of person to you? Don't answer that. Like,
No. Like you've just reminded me of like why sometimes actually it's the simple things that people remember you for, and that's why they buy you. And our competition don't do it in the same way that we do. And so it's a really good market advantage, and we should be emphasizing it more.
you can optimize for NPS, and that's good. You can optimize for CSAT, also good. You can optimize for loyalty, and that's good too. But here's the thing, if you're not optimizing for total customer value, for total customer profitability, then you're just optimizing for output, not the bottom line. Here's the truth. If your strategy isn't building better customers, more frequent, more loyal, more deeply bonded, then it's not a strategy, it's a performance. At Customerland Studio, we help brands find the value, find the opportunities, the force multipliers hiding inside the customer relationship. And then we help them optimize for scale, for yield, for profit across the entire relationship. Because the other thing we've learned, the only strategy that actually matters is the one that makes your customers more profitable. Customerland Studio, to make better customers. Go to customerland.net and click on the studio. Yeah, here. So I was poking around on, frankly, I don't remember where, but either on the main site or somewhere recently. It might have been one of your pages. This is a quote. If it's attributable to you, then here you go. The real test of a new feature is, can product marketing use it without any instruction and get value from it? End quote. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. I wrote it in like 3 seconds before I got
Well,
on the meeting.
it's a moment of brilliance because isn't that like the acid test or one of
Yeah.
them anyway?
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, it was like, but I mean, it's true. Whenever I tell these stories, they usually come from me as a user because I use them. And that's why I actually like what I'm doing. I've worked in the past for companies that I'm marketing something that I've like never used and trying to get my head around it. But it's so easy for me now because this is software that I need and I use. So I'm like, if they're rolling out this new feature, yeah, this is true to me. It's like, I don't need to do a certification and I don't want a course and I don't want you to explain to me the value of what it is. If I can pick it up, start using it immediately. And what happened with that was we rolled out this AI summarization of session replay. And I logged into our demo environment and I immediately just went, huh, yep, I get it. And then I went, and I was able to demo it. And then I recorded myself demoing it. And that's now the demo video. So I spent all of like 3 minutes with it. And I literally then did a voiceover of what it could do as I was seeing it, sent it to the product manager and said, does that work? And he was like, oh my God, that's incredible. Ship it. And I was like,
Really?
zero effort. Yeah.
Right.
Marketing is the easiest thing in the world when you get given features like that.
When you have a great product, and I think I've heard something like that before, right?
All right.
Yeah, amazing. I think we should, just because it's impressive, we should talk about some of the companies that you work with,
Yeah,
because these are big brands and they're showing great results. I'm going to cherry pick a few. Maybe you can just kind of tell us the story behind it.
go for it.
Let's see. Let's start with 50% increase in CTA exposure rate for North Face.
Yep.
I've heard of those guys.
Yeah, North Face. Look, anyone who worked in marketing knows you work with brands and you're not allowed to say who all of them are. So the companies that we get case studies from are people that are great parts of our community that are willing to go the extra mile and put their brand on the line to support us. So North Face is a great example of a company like that. And yeah, things like exposure rates lead to improved conversion rates, which lead to improved revenue. All of our case studies, they're never going to say we increased the revenue. We're not going to say by how much. But I can tell you, all of them lead to increased cart volume and they increase revenue. And it's super
Right.
simple. And it's got to do with the exposure rate is a good example of a simple UX visualization of understanding how people are engaging with a page or a product feature. And it could be we needed to lift the reviews further up the page. We needed to lift up the like product set or different visualization up the page, and it leads to conversion and revenue. So you'd be hard pressed to find a retail brand, like an e-commerce brand that isn't working with us in one way or another. And I'm continually shocked by some of the brands that I hear or we get to work with. It's incredibly proud moment to work with. And offline, I tell people who some of these brands are, but when I'm talking with you, I'm ring fenced to some of the great brands that we have on our website.
That's okay. That's okay. Go to the website, which we'll put a link for. The other thing we should do here is I would love to get a screenshot of what that page, that results page looks like, because here we're talking hypothetically,
Yeah,
it's
it's
an
hard.
audio medium and like, what are these guys talking about? But that was the moment of clarity when I looked at this thing and went, wow,
Yeah.
hours and hours of assembling data from Google Analytics. And here it is
Yeah.
right here with and not only that, but you knew exactly what to do with it.
Yeah, it's so obvious. And you can play with it. Like you can, like another true test, can product marketing just pull it up out of a Chrome browser extension, overlay across the site and do it in 2 seconds? Yeah. I do it all the time. Like our CEO still does demos in the same way. He'll just pull up a site and then he'll show them and he'll go, look, you can look at it by revenue, you can look at it by conversion rate, exposure rate. You can, and eventually what will also happen, which is what we're working on, is you'll have an AI that will also analyze all of it and it will go, hey, you seeing this? What you need to do is, if you haven't already realized, lift these three things up the page or pull this shoe further forward, or you've got way more opportunity on this product line and that product line. So that's the exciting stuff that's coming as well. So if it's not visual enough, you're also then going to have an AI that tells you to what to look for and then what to do about it, which is going to be fun too.
Really cool. Yeah, I want to be the fly on the wall when that gets
It's
debuted in
happening.
the market.
It's happening. We're bubbling away as a product team. So we're more to come. But there's definitely like those proactive insights are the key, right? And
Yeah,
to your point, it's make it visual. So don't just give me a bullet point and say you should lift section 3, 4 up on this page to that, and it will increase to that. It's like visually show me what will happen if we do this, and
right.
where the gap is, and helps us as humans trust it.
It's the easy button in visual form.
Yeah,
Um, Rakuten increased checkout conversion rate by 10%. Before
yeah,
before before you unpack that, just for context, like a lot of people that we deal with in this space are operate in the loyalty world,
yeah,
and Rakuten is either variously loved and hated because of what they do. I think the people who hate them because they're so good at what they do.
yeah,
But the volume of transactions that go through that platform. I don't know the number, but I know it's very, very, very big. And to show something that looks like a 10% conversion rate at checkout
Yeah, it's
because
huge.
you just applied some new insights.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. Like I know of 20 brands that would start with a checkout conversion because they start with like what's the most important to revenue. And then they map a journey from where is everyone coming, and then they get to the checkout page. And then what's happening on the checkout page? Is there a slowdown? Is there frustration? Are people confused? Are they entering the wrong things in forms? We had examples of like Decathlon was a great example of a brand that they were, people often always go to Decathlon for some reason, particularly in Asia Pacific. They don't necessarily get the delivery, and people were getting confused about the shipping process. Should I get this shipped and then get it price? What is it in store? Like what's happening? So what we do is we provide that ability, and same for Rakuten, is to work out like where are the friction points on that user journey? Like where are the customers confused? Where's the drop off? And a same thing, visualize it again so they can visually see it and then go, oh, wow, what the form? We got an issue with the form? Or like people are having to now log in. And when they log in, they lose their cart. That's a terrible experience. That can't happen. And so these examples are just like simple examples of let's just watch the user journey through to the cart. Let's watch what happens. Let's see what the baseline is. There's frustration here. We should experiment. We should shorten the form. We should change the checkout process. We should do this. We should do that. Did that have an uplift or did it have a download that had an uplift? Great. Let's keep going. And so, like what you start to see now, particularly with these e-commerce brands, is you have people dedicated to certain functions, and there's someone dedicated to checkout, and they'll be responsible for continuing to use ContentSquare and experimentation to continue to drive that like reduction in abandonment is probably the best way of saying it, and just continue to fine tune. And it could be like another great example. Harrods is a really good example of like a brand that just had an error on their checkout page that was impacting 50% of users. So they lost 50% of conversions as a result of having a JavaScript error on the checkout that they didn't know
Yikes.
was there.
Yeah.
And we helped them find it. And then they removed that tag. It was literally a tag that was just sitting there, and it solved it. And
Amazing.
it sounds super simple for these some of these things, and it is. But if you don't have the analytics, it's not simple because you wouldn't know until
You just never find that stuff.
someone sends an email or
Yeah.
customer feedback now, or goes on to, it's not called Twitter anymore, is it? It's called X. But they go on to social media and they rant. The worst experience ever. This brand sucks. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I don't know what happened. And you can replay that session or you can visualize it. It just becomes heaps easier.
I'm just curious, and does Content Square operate strictly in e-commerce, or do you apply that kind of efficiency finder in other realms as well?
No, we're like very strong in e-commerce because it's very easy to tie what we do to revenue. So it's become very easy to sell it. It's like we can tell
Right.
you, like of all these case studies, look at this, 10% improvement, 10% improvement. That itself pays for the software well and truly. Like we can do one small use case and pay for the software for a year just by helping you implement this one thing. But as other brands mature their digital practices, so you think SaaS companies, we've got good coverage with them. Travel is a really important one because also user journeys for travel. Like if you're booking a cruise, it's like typically an older generation that are on various different devices taking a long time to make a decision. So they have a long journey to optimize. It's not, I need a new shirt, click, check out.
Right. Right.
So they invest a lot in their digital journey. So they're a good one. And then like the other one is banking and finance. Like we're super strong with like a lot of the retail banks and commercial banks because it's highly competitive. They're trying to sign people up for savings accounts and mortgage accounts. And actually, one of my favorite case studies, which I think is on the website, but it's been public, so it's fine. But one of the big banks in the UK was really wanting to push a mortgage calculator because they thought people wanted to compare mortgages when they were trying to sign up for their mortgage. And they spent a long time developing this mortgage calculator only to find out that no one wanted to compare mortgages. they were doing mortgage comparisons off their website. By the time they came to the website, they were ready to sign up. So they wanted fast sign up process. They removed the mortgage calculator. They showed an uplift of like 10 to 15% sign up, and then they put a dollar figure on it. And that equated to like £500,000 of like an increase as a result of that digital team optimizing that sign up process. And I think there's a lesson there for teams of people that are working in a non-e-commerce segment to put a value on a sign up. Like it's really important to put a value on a sign up. So then when you show an improvement in conversion, you can go to your boss and your management and you can go, I just made us X amount of dollars more. And that NatWest example is a great example of a team that put a value on a sign up and then did it. Like and then added monetary figure to it.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm thinking of another half a dozen possible use cases, but like, I don't know if like an individual level account exists for ContentSquare, but like I can see it being like the UX UI person's like secret, don't tell anybody, like this is how I just optimize my stuff here. Like, don't anybody look, I'm over here working, on my thing. And lo and behold, like, wait, everything I'm doing is optimized. So
Yeah,
um,
there's a little, we only really built it because I think we were helping the software teams from the dreaded CEO that came in and said, my husband or my wife went to the site recently and this is what they experienced. And it was like, and so the software team's like, wait a second. And all alarm bells go off in that software company. And so then we developed software that's to be able to go, well, let's see whether the wife or the husband was actually did have that experience or not. Let's look up that session, let's replay it, and either it's true or it's false. So yeah,
so in effect, you save their marriage.
yeah, we're like we're saving the world from CEOs that think they know better about
Or CEO
experience.
spouses, which is more dangerous,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, or their cousins or their friends
Right.
had a sign up experience. So we're helping product teams remain sane, or website teams. But yeah, to your point, yeah, you can see user sessions. It's a really good use case of like actually understanding someone complained and they had 5 or 6 sessions. I tried logging in, I couldn't log in. It keeps crashing on me. Okay, let's look at that session. Let's check. Okay, yeah, looks like you're using Internet Explorer 6.5. Maybe you could upgrade the browser at this point, or that device isn't your iPhone 3 isn't supported anymore.
Right.
But but yeah, there are use cases for support desks to understand what users are doing and have empathy for their frustration.
I was specifically, and I won't name names, but I was working about a year ago with an e-learning company
Yep.
that had developed a really sophisticated platform for a giant e-learning system. Just they had everything going on there. It was literally the worst user experience I've ever had in my life. Like this was if you mapped out the user journey, like literally every step was messed up.
Yeah.
And to the point where I'm stopped. I can't do anything. There's no option to move ahead in any direction here.
Yep.
And long story short, I ended up writing to the head of that initiative, just saying, "Hey, look, this is I'm not complaining. I'm just giving you like a heads up. You may have some issues you want to address, and here's what my experience was." And it ended up being like this long of
Yeah.
like, and so I didn't get a response right away. I mean, I was like, wow, maybe I just hit a nerve or too sensitive, or maybe got lost in spam or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe like, I don't know, 2 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later, well after I thought like any response would have been like dealt with, this person emailed back with what ended up being one of the most genuine human apologies I've ever
Wow.
received in my life, because he really, you could see that like I cared enough, and it impacted him and apparently his entire team, because like everybody was CC'd on this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in this conversation, how much of that could have been solved? Like so much of it, maybe not everything, but a lot of it, just by applying the right kind of analytics understanding and insights, and like, here, push the button, here's Content Square's recommendation, go
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah, and it's not, look, part of it is software, right? Like, so yes, there is software that can solve this, but the other part is like it's it's people and teams willing to double down on experience and really wanting to care about your experience. And it's like what was it that you were trying to achieve? Were you trying to sign up for a course? Were you trying to take that course? And like, how did you experience this as you were working your way through and then having goals associated with what those experiences are? So a product team would have, we want to be able to enable, we want weekly active users. We don't want to see drop-offs. We want to, and then you start to baseline these metrics, and then you can start to immediately pick, wait a second, some people are only doing like one course. This is a problem. And then they're abandoning before they're getting, that's not right. And so it's like mapping out what the ideal user journey is and then just baselining whether or not it's happening. Like, are we
Right.
getting those metrics or are we seeing a drop? And then go and investigate. Why is this? Why is Mike and are like probably 50 other percent of the population having this issue? What is it? What is it what they were meant to be doing? And then either visualize it, either look at a session replay, look at a zoning of like what's the engagement, and then sometimes it's like metrics that you can't see. So sometimes you do need to do a session replay and go, actually, in this scenario, there was supposed to be a button up there that would help them to the next thing. Or in my case, when I've used Peloton numerous times, they do a pop-up banner and the advert is white and the cross to get out is white, which means there's a UX problem when no one knows where the cross is. And it would
Right.
say the metrics would show nothing. It would
Right.
just go, people are shutting their treadmills down because they can't finish the class because the pop-up happened. But what a replay would show is, oh wow, we put a white banner up with a white X. That's not cool. So yeah, it's like just teams that want to focus on the UX and then they're like they want to solve the problem. It's really not that hard. And this is why I work in this industry because it's like everyone is differentiating based on experience. Like you really, it will with AI and with all of these things coming, it's so easy for people to develop products. Brand loyalty is really difficult, and everyone has an expectation that an experience is good. And you just want to retain your customers. It's way cheaper to retain them, and people are very quick to complain. So just double down on the experience and make sure that what they get is what they expect, which is hard. We keep saying internally, deliver experiences that everyone loves, that they're like, and I'm like, can we just start with getting the experience that someone expects? That would
There
be
you
a
go.
nice,
There you go.
just start with the expectation and then move on. Like I don't want an awesome experience when I'm doing my taxes. I want it to be as fast as possible. And then I want to,
Right.
and same in my
Having just
HR
come off of
system.
that exercise, I relate. Yeah, let's
I
just
just
get it
rel
done.
I just related to you because I had to do an internal HR thing. You got a people management thing, and it's one of those pieces of software that was probably developed in the 90s, and
Right.
they've some colors on it, made it look good, and it's the most unintuitive, annoying piece of software ever. And when you've got like a team of UX experts using it, it's
Yeah. Oh
we
yeah.
spend 20 minutes like dissecting why it's so bad before we even finish the task of like, so actually, how what are we supposed to do again?
Right. Doesn't matter. Let's leave. Yeah, right.
Totally forgot whatever the internal HR
Yeah.
process was I was supposed to do because I'd already solved their UX problem.
Dave, thanks a million for being here because it was a ton of fun.
Absolute pleasure, Mike. I had a really good time, and hopefully we addressed the questions appropriately and got people
Well, your
excited
people
about.
will let us know if we didn't,
They'll
right?
get definitely afterwards. They're going, Dave, you didn't know the answer to like three of those questions. Well, yeah, like as my dad said, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.